Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Andrew Lacey. It's March the 2nd, 2026. And the call today is going to be something that's tied together. Over the last year, I've made videos where I would lip sync. And you'd say, why do you put that on YouTube and TikTok for my coaching people? You see, it's more than just words when you go to someone's house. It's your facial expressions. It's your hand gestures. It's all of these small components that no one teaches. So today, I'm actually going to use a song that separates the armed forces in different ways. And I feel that I have trained you and separated you from the regular people in real estate. So I'm going to use the song as an example, but I'm going to, at the end, do the entire song. And I want you to watch my facial expressions. To match the words, your face needs to match what you're saying, to have empathy, to be excited, to be concerned, to be believable. 2 weeks ago, I was doing the basics. This morning, I said the basics is why I am where I am today, why I am successful, because I never, ever stop doing the basics one day of my life. You know, a lot of people get the basics and then they quit doing the basics and their business struggles. But if I did not do the basics, I would not have a book finished and being ready to finish two or three more. I would not own the property I have, the houses that I have, the business that I have, the clients that I have. The life that I have is because of the basics. You know, a lot of people hate the word spam. I'm getting a lot of spam calls because they don't, that's the wrong spam. Actually, we spam people, but we spam them in the greatest way possible. You should be spamming every person you talk to. You know, what is spam in the Lacey way? What does it mean? It's 4 letters, SPAM. These 4 words will help you the most with your basic, your skills. Until you have skills, and this is what's missing today. And this is the song that I'm going to play today, talks about their skills, their performance, their attitude, but most of all, the mindset that they're the best. If you don't think you're the best person to help someone, if you don't think, if your attitude is not positive, if you don't get better at your performance, your presentation, your message that you leave, talking to people, speaking to people, but most of all, skills. Skills for this business. As I was saying a couple of weeks ago, I was calling people. What was I doing? I was calling people, one person at a time. We were having a program in Atlanta last week, and we did not have the turnout through the emails and all the AI and everything that we sent out. Very few people had signed up. So last Friday, Friday before last, I decided I would call the company and say, would you just send me a list of a few of your people that you would recommend to come to my program? And so on Friday, I received 2 lists of 8 people on each list. 16 people I called, and 8 of them signed up, and 2 said they were going to come. Think about coming. The next week, I received about 70 more numbers. And on Monday and Tuesday, before I went to Atlanta, I called every one of them. And instead of having just a couple of people that had signed up, we had 35 people. We had 7 times more because of me picking up the phone and calling them. It's priceless to call someone. And when you have the skills of what to say and you know how to say it, is priceless. So getting back, I called one of those agents. She had just gotten to Atlanta. She had been in Florida. She had been a top producer. Even before she said she was a top producer, I said, young lady, you're smart. You would be great in my program. And a few minutes later, she goes, well, I'm actually number 2 in my office. And I said, didn't I tell you you were smart? And she started laughing. She said, you did tell me I was smart. You can't be number 2 if you're not smart. She was looking me up at the same time, and she said, I'm going to come to your program. I said, you made an incredible decision. She came last Thursday, and she called me on Friday. And she said, I want to be part of your program because there's something different about your program. But she said, you know what captured me was at the end of the program, you talked about all of us have greatness within us. Every person. You can choose to have greatness or you can choose not to find your greatness. I get up every day to try to help someone find their greatness that they can't see. Isn't it funny? Someone that physically can't see has the vision to see each person's greatness and what stops them. God is great all the time. But when she called, I said, hey, I remember talking to you a week ago. You're that lady from Florida who just moved to Atlanta. And you're number 2 in your office. And she goes, you remember that? I said, yes, I do. She goes, well, after telling you I was number 2 and seeing those people that were on the front row that were closing 50 and 75 and 80 homes, she goes, my number 2 isn't that, that powerful. But I said, I'm going to make you powerful. We are so proud of all of our services. Where are we going with this, Andrew? I want to demonstrate the separation of great and average. In the Army, in the Marine Corps, and in the Navy, they have what is called Special Forces. They were actually started in the 40s during World War II, and then they were cut off. And then President Kennedy in the 60s felt there was a need for a special force of men that was above and beyond our great Army, our great Marine Corps, our great Navy. They're known as the Navy SEALs, the Green Berets, and the Marine Corps Force Recon. And they are different. So I'm going to share with you what makes you different. Is because, see, when I first started training, people thought I was a drill instructor, a sergeant, a man that put up with no nonsense, a man that was saying, get your butt to work, get your rear end in gear, quit complaining, and go to work. Well, over the last 30 years, I've meddled a little bit. Now I'm the colonel that's always just encouraging his men and women to keep going. I have other people that are the sergeants that push people a little bit. But I'm not afraid to push someone to greatness. I always say I'd rather have someone leave me because they got upset with me for telling them the truth than for them to miss out on millions of dollars. So is the Army great? Yes. The Navy's great. And the Air Force is, the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps are great. But the Special Forces are special. They're the greatest. When the toughest assignments come, they're the ones called in. When no one else can do it, they're put out there to do it. And that's what I try to do with you. To me, you're that special force in real estate that's so far above and beyond an average agent. So I'm going to tell you some of the words. It starts out fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, men who mean just what they say, brave men of the Green Beret. I'm not asking you to be jump and die, but I'm asking you to jump up and go forward. But I am asking you not to have fear, to be fearless when you call someone, not to be afraid to go see someone, not to be afraid to tell the truth to someone, to have courage, to take a stand, and not be told what you're going to do, but to tell the seller what they need to do. Tell them the truth. So many times in our industry, I've seen in the last 40 years, the agent will go out there and let the seller tell them what to do. Isn't that funny? We call ourselves a professional, but think about this. A doctor is a professional. A lawyer is a professional. Do you see you telling the doctor what to do or the lawyer what to do? Why do you allow your clients to tell you what to do? That's when you put it on the market. You know what's best for them. The second verse goes, train to live on nature's land, trained in combat, hand to hand. Men who live both night and day. Men who something, both night and day. Courage of the Green Beret. Now this is important. Trained to live off nature's land. We're trained to be in a market no matter where it is, no matter if interest rates are high or low, no matter if the market is slow or fast. We're trained, not in hand-to-hand combat, but the war you fight is the war of your fear, the war of your doubt, the war that you have, your beliefs. We don't have a war with people. We don't confront people. We care about people. But we have to be face to face to help people. I love that part again. Trained to live off nature's land. This land we live in is an incredible land of opportunity in this industry called real estate, and you can have the opportunity in my program to make $10,000 to $20,000 a day. Who else can do that? Trained in combat. Quintus Servants is a person I met 3 years ago that I've had the opportunity of so many others to train. Quintus, are you there today? And can you just share the difference of, or share that the training you've had, what has happened? Not about before I met you, but since I've met you.
Yes, Andrew, I'm here. I'll share that since I've started to be coached by you, one of the greatest things that I realized was the effectiveness of being proactive. Getting on the phone and seeking out that business. Whereas in real estate, I've watched it, and even if I was to fall off and not prospect the way I need to, your phone just not going to ring. And so the only way you can be in business, you have to be proactive every day. And just the skills that you have given over the last 3 years of me working with you, it allowed me to up my standards of what I will do and what I won't do as far as dealing with clients. And like you were saying, and it's profound. I know it's simple, but it's profound. Like, we're professionals. So how is it that we're going to go out and let people tell us what to do? Well, the way you've trained me over the last 3 years, I just simply don't allow that to happen. And just be able to choose who I'm going to work with and not just running out being desperate, trying to just find anybody to work with.
You know, most people in real estate are desperate. They have no business. But if you're proactive, as he was saying, then you can choose who to work with. If you sit down and wait for the phone to ring, you're never going to have enough business. I did that for 8 years. When I think about it, trained in combat hand to hand. Well, you've been in my training, and when you first start training, you went 3 months and didn't get a what? Didn't get an appointment, did you?
Correct.
And I think it was December you called me and said, I'm going to have to drop out of the program because I've got to go get a regular job because I'm broke. Because before I met you, I think you had made $35,000 in a year.
Correct.
So, see, he was being trained, but he hadn't gotten trained completely. Well, I called him up a day or two later and said, you're going to be amazing. And you'll never have this opportunity to make this kind of money if you go get a regular job. But if you could go get a job for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and come in and work Monday through Friday in my program, your life is going to change. In January, you started getting appointments. And then January and February and March, you started going on appointments. But then you still did not get
listings.
So, see, he was being trained to come to the office, trained how to dress, trained how to speak, trained how to leave a message, trained how to follow up, trained how to get an appointment. But after he learned how to get an appointment, that's only halfway there. He had to be trained how to make a presentation, how to have an effective greeting, how to take control during the walkthrough, how to have the presence at the presentation to be able to close and close as many times as he needs. Now, not rude. See, when we don't work with someone because they don't want to listen to us, we don't say you're not smart. We recommend, and then they make the decision. And what we recommend is not fall in lines with what we know is going to happen, what the house is going to sell for, what it's going to take to get the house sold for. We have to walk away. There's one little bit of training I want you to share. One thing that no one does today because of computers and everything, but on my presentation, you made presentations and they wasn't going to sign the listing, but because of your hands and what do you do sometimes?
I love it. So I always take the paper contract with me. And so sitting there at the table, and I've called and told you this, it's no greater high in real estate than getting the listing signed right there on the spot. And so I have that piece of paper there. And when I slide it over there and they sign it, I mean, walking out that house knowing this thing is done is no greater feeling.
I'm not trying to be a tree killer, but I don't think there's anything like you've got your tablet and all the paperwork and they can push the button, but I don't think there's anything. Are you sure we can't get started? Would you let me help you tonight? Let's get started so I can get your home sold tomorrow. I'd love to have it in MLS so we could get it sold this weekend. If you'll press hard and sign right here for me. You can still get all the other paperwork, but it's that moment of contact. Maybe it is hand to hand. Hand my pen over to your hand and sign. People don't do that today. People don't know the power of suggestion, the power of your face. But we'll get to that. So you've never made over 35,000. So now in the last 3 years, what's your income?
560,000.
560,000. Wow, 560,000 in 3 years. If that was another 40,000, that would be 300,000 a year, and that would be 10 times more than you were making when I met you. Congratulations for being trained. Congratulations for being fearless. Congratulations for having courage. Congratulations for not quitting. Because, see, when I do the song in the end, I meet hundreds of people, but there's only a few that's going to take advantage to have the advantage in their business and life. The last verse goes, back at home, a young wife waits. Her green beret has met his fate. He has died for those oppressed, leaving him this last request. Oppressed. Do you know the people that I like to help the most? When I sold real estate in 1994, my broker called me down to his office and said he had this young man, and would I go show him? He and his wife were going to have a baby, and he was working for the city, and he had no money. And he had actually, when we walked outside for me to go show him houses, I said, we'll take my car. And he said, can I leave my bicycle against the wall? I said, sure. You know, I had sold houses that were 10 times more than this house, 20 times more than this house. But he needed my help. See, in the Green Berets, he had died for those oppressed. We don't have to die, but we surely could help the oppressed people, the ones that are struggling, the ones that really need our help in purchasing a home and leading them correctly. That young man purchased a home for me, and I think for 20 years I received a Christmas card from him and his wife as their family grew. I met a young man 3 years ago who came to my seminar, and he thought that he was at the right place at the right time and the right moment. Can you take it from there?
Yes, sir. When I came in to your training, I tried everything that they shared with me to do as far as the broker. Social media, setting up all type of platforms, trying to get people to come in. And then when I came in that training, and you gave the simplicity of who to call and what we would have to do as far as calling, being proactive, it just blew my mind. And I was like, man, I realized all of that stuff was not going to get it done. And I knew I needed what it was that you were saying. So that was that complimentary program. So I went home and I told my wife, I said, look, at the time we had $110 in our checking account, and we really needed the money. So I asked her, I said, it was $100 down and you pay $100 a month till it's paid off. I say, can I write this check? Because I really need what it is that Mr. Lacey is presenting. And she said, well, if you believe in it, go ahead and do it. So she supported me in doing that. And I went to the program that following 2 weeks. I mean, that following week to that 2-day program. And I just knew that I had to have it. And I like the fact that I didn't have another alternative. I didn't have another option in life. It was either I was going to do this and succeed, or I wouldn't have no option. Like you said, to the point I was going to have to go get a job. So, I came in and you was gracious enough to allow me. I said, look, I have to have this now. Like I couldn't keep going to trainings. I needed to be coached by you. So you was gracious enough to bring me in to do that. And just in the process of doing it, I, went through the coaching, went to continuously going to the 2-day programs and everything like that. And like you said, that perseverance and that persistence to just keep going in spite of not having what we would call success or business. I just kept going. And then 6 months later, I finally got my first closing. And in those 9 months from there, I ended up making 205,000 my first year. My second year, I made 207. And then this year here, 2025, I ended up making 160. And the thing that coaching you did for me was that was a rough year for me because I had $150,000 in transactions just fall through. So I could have made over 300,000, but I still didn't quit, and I'm right here today still going because I was able to call you. You was able to talk me through different transactions and stuff like that. And I look back, it still wasn't a bad year because I still accomplished top producer in the Atlanta Association of Realtors, which is only the top 5% out of, I mean, top 15% out of like 20,000 agents. So it still was a good year, even though I didn't accomplish what it was I wanted to.
You know, I was talking when we started this, I was talking about this young man that had no money, but I was able to go and find him a home. I was able to get him financing through the city. I was able to put him in something he couldn't have done on his own. With $110, Quintus couldn't have done it on his own. But I said, I'm going to take this young man and I'm going to give him the opportunity to work with me 2 years. And I'm going to wait till he gets on his feet. I love helping people that are struggling, but trying their hardest, but most of the times trying the wrong things. So when that says, he has died for those oppressed. Do you know I like helping the people that are the ones that are maybe not oppressed, but maybe falling on hard times because they're the ones that really need our help. So to answer that young lady's question, what makes this program different? Well, we're the Green Berets, the Navy SEALs, and the Force Recon of real estate. Because see, in the Army, Navy, and Air Force, and Navy, excuse me, Marine Corps, they have basic training and then they go somewhere, but they do not have continuous training. The Green Berets, the Marine Corps Force Recon, and Navy SEALs train every day on the basics of survival, accomplishing their goal, and overcoming anything that comes to them. And that's what this is. The Lacey Group is here to help you to overcome and be the best. So that's why I have training every morning at 7:30. It's like being in the Navy SEALs or Force Recon or the Green Berets to be the best of the best. And why I want you to be the best of the best is, well, let me do the song for you, and then you'll see why at the end. Fighting soldiers from the sky, men who live to jump and die, men who mean just what they say, courage of the Green Beret, silver wings upon their chest. These are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 when the Green Beret. Trained to live off nature's land, trained in combat, hand to hand, men who drive both night and day, courage deep in the Green Beret, silver wings upon my chest. These are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 when the Green Beret. Back at home, a young wife waits. Her Green Beret has met his fate. He has died for those oppressed, leaving her this last request. Put silver wings on my son's chest. Make him one of America's best. He'll be a man they'll test one day. Make him win the Green Beret. Maybe some of you that I train will be able to train others to stand tall and proud and stick that chest. You may not have a silver wings, but be proud to stick your chest out because you're the best. Because in the end, I don't just want to help you. I want to help everyone in your family. Thank you for your time. So what is different? Everything we do. It's every day we're training you to be the best in your life and business. Have an incredible day. Call me if you need me. 864-909-1258. Thank you for your time.